Ladies and gentlemen, today I must speak to the fire within you, the part of you that was never meant to be tamed by a job description, a cubicle wall, or a time clock. You were not born to look for a job. You were born to fulfill a calling. When you came into this world, you were not stamped with a resume, you were infused with vision, desire, and divine assignment. The universe itself tilted in your favor the moment you chose to breathe. But somewhere along the way, society handed you a script, a safe path, and called it a career. There is a fundamental difference between divine assignment and employment, a distinction so powerful that, once understood, it will forever change the way you view work, money, and your role in this world. Employment is man-made. It is a construct built to maintain order, to exchange time for money, and to keep systems functioning. It is a position someone else creates for you, within boundaries someone else defines. But divine assignment, that comes from a higher source. It is not designed to fit within a system. It was created to disrupt one. Employment says, here is what you do. Assignment says, here is who you are. When you operate from the space of employment, you become a tool, valuable, yes, but replaceable. Your job exists because someone else has a vision and you're there to help bring it to life. But when you step into your divine assignment, you are no longer a tool. You are the source, you are the visionary, you are the one creating positions, not applying for them. Many people spend their entire lives climbing the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Why? Because they pursued employment instead of alignment. A job may give you a salary, but only your assignment will give you satisfaction. Employment is external validation. Assignment is internal revelation. You must understand, employment often asks you to trade your authenticity for approval. It tells you to conform, to comply, to color inside the lines. It asks you to wear a mask, to quiet your inner fire, to shrink your light so you don't offend the system. But divine assignment does the opposite. It demands that you expand. It calls you to stand fully in your identity, to speak boldly, to move with a confidence that can only come from knowing that your existence has meaning far beyond a paycheck. Your divine assignment is tied to your design, your talents, your passions, your experiences. None of it is accidental. They are all coordinates on the map to your purpose. But employment doesn't care about your soul. It cares about your skills. It wants your hands, not your heart. It values productivity over presence. And slowly, if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that you were made for function, not fulfillment. This is why some of the most financially successful people in the world are still unfulfilled. They chased titles, not truth. They mastered tasks, but abandoned their mission, because a job can give you money, but only your assignment gives you meaning. Divine assignment is rooted in service. It's not just about what you get, but what you give. It connects you to something larger than yourself, something timeless. It turns your work into worship, your business into a blessing, your career into a calling. It forces you to wake up differently, speak differently, walk differently, because deep down you know, this isn't just what I do, this is who I am. There is perhaps no greater myth sold to society than the idea of job security. It is dangled like a carrot in front of the masses, a promise that if you work hard, stay loyal, show up on time, and follow the rules, you will be safe, you will be protected, you will be taken care of. But look closer and you'll see the truth. Job security is not security at all, it's sedation. What people call security is often just a sense of comfort wrapped in routine. It's waking up to an alarm clock you didn't set for a dream you didn't choose, going to a place that values your presence only as long as it benefits their profit. The illusion is that as long as you perform, you are irreplaceable. But the moment you become inconvenient, the moment the numbers don't align, or the market shifts, or the boardroom changes direction, you realize just how fragile that illusion really is. A job can be taken from you. Not because you failed, but because someone higher up decided it was time to restructure, because profit margins narrowed, because technology replaced your position, because the company merged or downsized or simply changed its mind. And when it does, the comfort you thought you had turns into chaos. The foundation you trusted was never yours. It was borrowed. The illusion of job security keeps people small. It keeps them from risking, from building, from creating. It convinces them to settle for a life that is safe, rather than a life that is sacred. It tells them to trade their dreams for benefits, their voice for a title, their vision for a desk and a direct deposit. And so, generation after generation, people are lulled into this false sense of protection, believing that someone else can guarantee their future. But here's the truth that shatters the illusion. If someone else gives it to you, they can take it away. If your sense of security is based on a contract, a supervisor, or a system, you are not secure, you are dependent, and dependency breeds fear, fear of speaking up, fear of stepping out, fear of rocking the boat even when the boat is sinking. Real security isn't found in employment. It's found in empowerment. It's in the knowledge that your gifts can never be laid off, your creativity can't be outsourced, your calling can't be replaced. But the system won't tell you that. The system wants obedience, not ownership. It wants predictability, not purpose. So it dresses up control in the costume of security and waits for you to fall asleep behind the desk. And once you do, you stop dreaming. You stop building. You stop questioning the terms of the contract you never got to negotiate. You begin to believe that job security is the highest aim, when in reality, it's the lowest threshold of existence. There is a dangerous trade being made every day across the world, purpose for paychecks. Men and women with extraordinary ideas, rare talents, and deep convictions are exchanging their calling for a comfortable salary. They silence their inner voice for the security of a routine, not because they don't have dreams, but because they've been taught that dreams don't pay bills, so they settle, they show up, they perform. But they do not live. Purpose is inconvenient. It doesn't always come with a direct deposit. It doesn't promise predictability. It often asks more from you than you feel ready to give. But here's what purpose does that a paycheck never will. It awakens you. It energizes you. It demands your full self. It forces you to grow into someone who can carry the weight of the vision that was planted inside of you before you even knew how to spell career. A paycheck is a number. Purpose is a flame, and while one can cover your expenses, the other ignites your existence. People will tell you to be practical. They'll say you need to be realistic. But whose reality are they talking about? The one where you spend your life trading time for money doing work that means nothing to you. The one where Sunday night feels like a countdown to misery, and retirement is the only light at the end of the tunnel. That's not realism, that's resignation. When you choose paycheck over purpose, you're choosing survival over significance. You're accepting someone else's plan for your life, usually built to serve their agenda, not yours. You were not born for a cubicle. You were not created to memorize protocols. You were given breath to build, to lead, to serve through the lens of what sets your soul on fire. The irony is, when you pursue purpose, provision shows up. It doesn't always come fast. It doesn't always come easy, but it comes because the world makes room for those who are walking in alignment. Doors open for those who are bold enough to knock, even when they're not sure what's on the other side. People notice when someone is lit from within by something greater than ambition. There's nothing wrong with money, but money should be a byproduct, not a master. It's a tool, not a compass. If it's the only reason you wake up, you'll find yourself rich in your bank account and bankrupt in your spirit. But if you wake up for purpose, for impact, for legacy, money becomes a servant to your mission. A job can offer you benefits, but purpose offers you becoming. A paycheck might satisfy the world's definition of success, but purpose defines success on your own terms. It breaks you free from the need for applause and replaces it with the need for alignment. It shifts your focus from what you can earn to what you're here to do, to build, to leave behind. The most powerful form of capital you will ever possess is not money, connections, or credentials. It is the mind. Long before gold was currency, long before corporations and contracts, everything that ever changed the course of history began in someone's mind. The world you see around you is simply the residue of imagination, belief, and decision made visible. The chair you're sitting on, the clothes you're wearing, the phone in your pocket, all of it was once a thought. That thought, fueled by belief, became form. We live in a society that teaches us to chase external resources. We are told to acquire degrees, land jobs, network with the right people, secure loans, impress managers. But we are rarely taught to develop the most valuable resource we have: our ability to think, to envision, to believe beyond what we can see. Your mind, when trained and directed, becomes a magnet for opportunity and a weapon against limitation. The wealthy don't think like the poor, not because they have money, but because they understand the source of wealth isn't in the bank account, it's in the blueprint. It's in their ability to recognize value before the world does. It's in their refusal to be limited by circumstance or bound by someone else's perception. What separates those who lead from those who follow isn't access to capital, it's access to vision. And vision lives in the mind. A man with no money but the right mindset is richer than a man with millions and a mind bound by fear. Why? Because the first can rebuild anything. He sees ideas where others see problems. He sees potential in what others overlook. He's not waiting to be handed something. He's building from within. The second, though wealthy in appearance, is a prisoner. He hoards, he worries, he doubts. He has capital but no control over the engine that created it. The systems of this world were built to manage workers, not thinkers. Workers can be replaced. Thinkers can't. Employees are trained to repeat. Visionaries are free to create. When you understand that the true capital is not in your hands but in your head, you stop chasing opportunities and start creating them. You begin to invest in books, mentors, reflection, solitude, because you know the return on mental clarity, belief, and insight will surpass any paycheck you'll ever receive. Your mind is where your future is negotiated. Before anything changes around you, something must change within you. The person who can control their thoughts can shape their reality, because thoughts become actions, actions become habits, habits become results. And all of it begins in that sacred space between your ears. You can lose a job, you can lose a business, you can lose money, clients, buildings, even people. But if your mind is fortified, if your beliefs are built on truth, if your vision is crystal clear, then you haven't lost anything that you can't rebuild, because the seed that created it all still lives in you. Faith was never meant to be passive. It is not a concept to be preserved, protected, or polished for display. It is a force designed to move you. Real faith demands motion. It calls you out of comfort, away from predictability, and into the unknown where vision must guide you, not sight. But society has taught people to use faith as a safety net, not a launching pad. It has been reduced to routine, repeating the same prayers, quoting the same scriptures, attending the same services, while life itself remains unchanged, untapped, and unmoved. Maintenance is the act of preserving what already is. Movement is the decision to pursue what could be, and these two energies cannot coexist. You cannot maintain your current life and walk in the direction of a vision that is larger than it. Something must shift, something must be risked, because faith is not belief alone, it is belief backed by action, and without movement, faith becomes nothing more than intellectual agreement, not spiritual conviction. People wait for clarity before they move. They wait for signs, for confirmation, for circumstances to align, but faith doesn't wait for conditions. It creates them. It moves despite not knowing. It builds before the resources show up. It steps forward even when the ground hasn't formed yet. Faith doesn't ask for permission. It acts with authority, trusting that provision will appear along the path, not before the first step. Maintenance is fear in disguise. It dresses itself as wisdom, caution, responsibility, but at its core it is a refusal to grow. It's a desire to stay in familiar territory, even when that territory no longer serves you. Faith, on the other hand, is dangerous to the predictable life. It disrupts routines, it confronts doubt, it stirs up discomfort and shakes foundations that were never meant to last, because faith isn't concerned with stability, it's concerned with truth. You cannot pray for more while clinging to less. You cannot ask for breakthrough and then chain yourself to yesterday's version of who you were. Faith requires you to leave behind the old dulled habits, old identities, old environments, and move toward a future you've only seen in glimpses. It requires action that looks foolish to the logical mind. It requires boldness that makes others uncomfortable, but that's the cost of transformation. When you choose maintenance over movement, you delay your destiny. You trade power for predictability. You settle for what is safe, forgetting that nothing extraordinary has ever come from safety. Every major shift, every breakthrough, every miracle has come because someone dared to move when they didn't have all the answers. Faith is the currency of progress, and it only spends when you act. The truth is, most people don't lack faith, they lack motion. They believe in ideas, dreams, promises, but they refuse to move. And in that refusal, they forfeit the very things they say they're believing for. Because faith cannot be stored, it must be spent, it must be exercised, it must be lived out step by step, day by day, in full defiance of fear and logic and limitation. You were never meant to be a cog in the machine. You are not here to simply function within a system that existed before you, serving rules you didn't create, chasing rewards you didn't design. Systems are built to serve a purpose, but you were built to create purpose. Systems are tools, temporary, mechanical, replaceable, but you are a source, original, dynamic, alive, and the tragedy is that too many people forget that. From the moment you're born, you're taught to depend on the system. You're told to follow the path, get the grades, earn the degree, find the job, follow the ladder, stay in line, don't question the rules, don't outgrow your box, and slowly, without realizing it, people hand over their power. They begin to believe that opportunity exists within the system, rather than recognizing that opportunity exists within themselves. But the system is not your source. It was never designed to be. Systems are built for control, for consistency, for mass production. You are built for impact, for individuality, for divine expression. Systems operate on limitation. Sources operate on creation. One maintains what is. The other gives birth to what has never been. When you begin to see yourself as the source, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop asking, will they give me a chance? And you start declaring, I am the chance. You realize you were born to create your own table, not beg for a seat at someone else's. You understand that ideas come through you, not to you, and your life is not about fitting in, but about pouring out. Most people don't fear failure, they fear responsibility, because when you accept that you are the source, you can no longer blame the system. You can't hide behind bad bosses, unfair structures, or broken institutions. When you are the source, you realize that power lies in your decisions, not your conditions. And that's a heavy truth for someone used to waiting for a green light from someone else's desk. The system will always try to make you dependent. It will tell you that success comes from climbing its ladder, but ladders were built to be climbed within something: walls, structures, limitations. Sources don't climb. They build, they disrupt, they rewrite. When you recognize yourself as the source, you don't need elevation from others. You elevate by design. You create from overflow, not from desperation. You are not here to serve systems. You are here to transform them. You're not here to survive inside the rules. You're here to bend them, break them, or build new ones altogether. Systems fear people who know their power. They fear the individual who realizes that the same spark used to build the system exists within them. Because once a person knows they are the source, they become unstoppable. Not because the system gave them power, but because they finally stopped giving the system theirs. When you stop searching for jobs and start uncovering your purpose, everything shifts. You realize that the true capital lies within your mind, not in external systems. Faith demands bold movement, not quiet maintenance. Security built on jobs is a fragile illusion, but purpose creates unshakable ground. You were never meant to survive inside someone else's structure. You were born to create your own. You are not here to be managed, measured, or maintained. You are the source, the visionary, the vessel of something greater. When you walk in that truth, the world doesn't give you opportunities. You create them.